A neon wonderland. Stepping into the 80s arcade. The air crackled with anticipation. A symphony of blips, bleeps and electronic melodies filled the air. The scent of popcorn and anticipation hung heavy. This was the 80s arcade, a haven for gamers of all ages. Stepping inside, you were greeted by a dazzling spectacle. Rows upon rows of arcade cabinets beckoned, each promising a unique adventure. The flashing lights and vibrant colors created a mesmerizing atmosphere that was impossible to resist. This was more than just a place to play games. It was a social phenomenon, a cultural touchstone that captured the spirit of an era. The 80s arcade was a sensory overload in the best way possible. The joystick felt electric in your hand, a direct connection to the digital world. Every quarter dropped was an investment in excitement, a gamble on skill and a little bit of luck. Whether you were a seasoned gamer or a curious newbie, the arcade welcomed you with open arms and plenty of challenging games. Birth of Legends, Pac-Man, Space Invaders and the gaming revolution. The golden age of arcades was ushered in by pixelated icons. Games like Pac-Man and Space Invaders weren't just entertainment, they were pioneers. They sparked a gaming revolution that captivated the world. Pac-Man's simple yet addictive gameplay became a global phenomenon. Space Invaders tapped into a primal fear of the unknown. It became a cultural touchstone. These games permeated popular culture, appearing on everything from lunchboxes to clothing. They were cultural icons. These early arcade games were revolutionary in their simplicity and accessibility. You dropped in your quarter, grasped the joystick, and you were off on an adventure. This simplicity made them instantly engaging. The competitive spirit was palpable. Quarters and camaraderie, the social heart of arcades. The arcade was more than just a collection of games. It was a social hub, a place where friendships were forged, rivalries ignited, and memories made. The sound of laughter, the groans of defeat, and the triumphant shouts of victory created a symphony of human interaction. You'd go to the arcade to hang out with friends, challenge each other to duels on the digital battlefield, and share in the collective thrill of victory or the agony of defeat. There was a sense of community within the arcade walls. Regulars knew each other by name, sharing tips, tricks, and the occasional borrowed quarter. The arcade became a melting pot of ages and backgrounds, united by a shared love of gaming. It was a place where social barriers seemed to melt away, replaced by the shared language of high scores, power-ups, and epic boss battles. Section 4, from Donkey Kong to Street Fighter, a universe of 8-bit adventures. The 80s saw an explosion of creativity in the arcade industry. New games were released at a dizzying pace, each pushing the boundaries of technology and gameplay. Donkey Kong introduced us to a giant ape and a plucky plumber named Mario, who would go on to become gaming legends. Galaga challenged players to navigate a deadly meteor shower while fending off waves of alien insects. Then came the fighting games, titles like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, which introduced a new level of competitive intensity to the arcade scene. These games weren't just about reflexes, they were about mastering special moves, reading your opponent and outsmarting them with cunning and skill. Section 5, the home console invasion. Arcades fade to black. As the 80s gave way to the 90s, a new challenger emerged, the home console. Systems like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis brought arcade-quality gaming into living rooms. Suddenly, players didn't need to leave the comfort of their homes to experience the latest and greatest games. This shift in the gaming landscape had a profound impact on arcades. The crowds thinned. The once deafening symphony of arcade sounds was replaced by an eerie silence. Many arcades, once vibrant hubs of social interaction, were forced to close their doors. The golden age of arcades was over. The rise of home consoles wasn't the only factor in the decline of arcades. The rising cost of arcade games, coupled with the increasing complexity of games themselves, made them less accessible to casual players. The arcade, once a place for everyone, was slowly becoming a niche hobby. keeping the 80s arcade spirit alive. Despite their decline, arcades never truly disappeared. They lived on in the hearts and minds of those who experienced their magic. This nostalgia has fueled a revival, with retro arcades popping up in cities around the world. Virtualman didn't just build an arcade. He created a digital masterpiece to preserve the essence of 80s arcade gaming. Through his dedication and passion, Retro Bliss Legacy was born, allowing us to relive the golden age of arcade games. Thanks to his hard work, we can still experience the excitement and nostalgia of 80s arcades today.
Thanks to the amazing Retro Bliss Legacy community. Today we come together not just as gamers, but as a family bound by our shared love for the golden era of gaming. We are the keepers of the past, and through Retro Bliss Legacy, we keep the spirit of the 80s arcade halls alive. This community is more than just a place to play games. It's a legacy of passion, creativity, and nostalgia. We've journeyed through the digital landscapes of our favorite retro titles, and we've built something that goes beyond the games themselves. It's the friendships, the shared experiences, and the dedication of every single one of you that makes Retro Bliss Legacy a vibrant, living legacy. This is a space where the memories of pixelated adventures never fade. Thanks to the commitment of this incredible community, we will continue to honor the roots of gaming while pushing forward with new innovations like the Voice Command Center. So here's to the past, the present, and the future. Retro Bliss Legacy is not just a tribute to classic games. It's a movement, and together we will ensure that the spirit of retro gaming lives on. Retro Bliss Legacy community forever.